I wonder how many times this week someone has said to me, I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday of the year. Food, family, and fun. What's not to like, right? Our prayers are effortless and our gratitude genuine. But that's not true for everybody. I can think of several good reasons and bad to skip Thanksgiving. I'm going to talk about 3 this morning. American commerce skips Thanksgiving, right? The day after Halloween, we start hearing about Christmas. And Target and Walmart only mention Thanksgiving as an excuse to mention Black Friday. So American commerce skips Thanksgiving. For others, Thanksgiving is one of the hardest days of the year. The smartest kid in my high school class was a young man named Eric Waltersdorf. We didn't have valedictorians at my high school because I went to a seriously Christian high school, and valedictorians smacked of elitism and inequality. But if we had had a valedictorian, Eric would have been it. He was just finishing his PhD dissertation in art history when he died in a mountain climbing accident in the Austrian Alps. He was 26 years old. And some of you have heard of Eric's father, Nicholas Waltersdorf. Nick Waltersdorf is one of the most respected Christian philosophers in the world. And Dr. Waltersdorf says, the worst days now are holidays: Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, birthdays, weddings, January 31. Days meant as festivals of happiness and joy are now days of tears. Routine days I can imagine because I don't have to sing any songs. But how am I to sing sad songs now in this desolate land when there is always one too few? So on Tuesday, the staff gathered for prayer for the congregation, as we always do, and I was reminded how many folks in our congregation Dr. Waltersdorf's sentiments must hold true. Maybe you're finding it difficult to sing songs in a desolate land where there is always one too few. And if that's the case for you, there's not a lot we, your friends, can do for you except to gather close and to give you some guilt-free liberty to feel the sadness, to experience the grief, and to sing the songs for you. Maybe you don't feel like singing "Now Thank We All Our God" this morning. The rest of us will sing it for you, and we'll wait for you. You'll be back. Your voice will return. So there are good and bad reasons to skip Thanksgiving. American commerce skips Thanksgiving. I wish they wouldn't, but they do. Some people skip Thanksgiving because it's just too sad, and I get that. Maybe it's a good thing to take a sabbatical from holidays for a while. Here's a third reason to skip Thanksgiving. Some people skip Thanksgiving because there is no one to thank. They don't believe in God, so they can't sing the hymns we're singing this morning, and they can't pray the prayers. The universe is one gigantic accident. A happy accident, to be sure, but an accident all the same. It's all just here, inexplicably. And so there's no one to thank for a Thanksgiving table sagging under its bounty, or for the safe birth and unbroken health of your children, or for the fossil fuels stored fortuitously in the earth, eon upon eon. No one to thank. Not even any other people to thank. I once met a man who told me, I'm a self-made man. In Connecticut, I served on the board of the local ambulance service. It was a nonprofit. Most of our income, of course, came from our customers. We had lots of paying customers, but we needed to fill out the need by raising some money. And so we needed $100 from 1,000 people in Greenwich. That's all we needed. So I asked my friend for $100, and he said, I don't believe in philanthropy. I make my money, I spent it. I'm a self-made man. I was stunned. That was the first self-made man I'd ever met. I wanted to put him in a zoo. He was so rare. And I happen to know that his mother and his father had spent about $250,000 to send him to Cal Berkeley so he could study math. And I happen to know that the professors at Cal Berkeley taught him the algorithms he used so that he could pick his stocks. And I happen to know that his wife worked about 100 hours a week caring for his children and his home. So there are good reasons to skip Thanksgiving, good and bad reasons. But don't skip it because there's no one to thank. There is no such thing as a self-made man or a self-made woman. We all came screaming into this earth for nourishment, naked, defenseless, and wailing. And at the other end of our life, someone will usher us out with compassion and expertise. And every day between, we will depend on the goodness and excellence of our family and friends and colleagues. Do you know who Esther Summerson is? 4 years ago, in 2012, Kathy and I made the year 2012 the year of the orphan. Charles Dickens was born on February 7, 1812, so 2012 was the bicentennial year of his birth, and so we decided to pay homage to the great novelist, and so we reacquainted ourselves with all of his charming orphans. We read Oliver Twist. We read Great Expectations. We read David Copperfield. And most exhaustingly, we read Bleak House. Have you ever read Bleak House? My Everyman's Library version is about 910 pages long. It's a thick, dense doorstop of a book. But Esther Summerson is the shining star of Bleak House. She's an orphan. She's not sure who her parents are, but she is raised all her life by the kind and generous Mr. Jarndyce. And then when she becomes a young woman, she receives a marriage proposal from a promising young gentleman. But then she gets smallpox and she almost dies. She goes blind briefly for a time, and her face is so scarred and disfigured by the wounds of the disease that when her gentleman friend takes one look at her, he withdraws his marriage proposal. She finds love in other ways. She's an orphan, and at one point in the story she says, from my childhood, I have been the unwitting object of the untiring goodness of the best of human beings, to whom I am so bound by every tie of attachment, gratitude, and love, that nothing I could do in the compass of a lifetime could express the feelings of a single day. I know that describes some of us, that we have been the recipients of so many benedictions in so many ways from so many people that if we lived to be 100, we could never recompense the benedictions of a single day. So if you have no good reason to skip Thanksgiving this year, here's your chance to make it specific. There are little note cards in your bulletins. Got plenty of time here. Let's take about 3 minutes, and these are your choices. You can jot a prayer to God for a specific blessing in your life. You know how Jimmy Fallon does that, his thank you notes. Or you can, maybe even better, write a note to somebody who made it a lifelong difference in your life. You remember how Glinda says to Elphaba in Wicked? Let me see Wicked. She says, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. So here are your choices. Write a prayer to God and drop them in the basket on your way to take communion. Or write a prayer or a thank you note to someone who's changed you for good. Best of all, hand deliver it. Second best, mail it when you've hammered it into shape. Or if you really have no intention of doing that, bring it up here and the staff will include your benefactor in our prayers this coming week. All right? We'll pray for those who are most important to you. Because I don't know about you, but for me, if I live to be 100, I'll not be able to repay the benedictions that have been showered on me by God from day one. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. A few minutes now of silence and thought.